Welcome everybody to Sunday School. I am your host, Mr. Jason Miles, Real Estate 360. And listen, we're going to talk today about what a subject to is. This is something that comes up a great deal in my conversations, in our teaching, in our group, in all of those things. And it happens that way because, as people are learning, they're, in my program anyway, you learn as you're doing it, right? I don't believe in teaching you how to do a thing and then putting you out there to do it. This you got to do, right? And so we're going to talk about exactly what that is and what subject to is and how do you actually implement it into your thing. Hey, what's up, Jason? Welcome. But and this is an interactive situation. So at any moment that you have a question, please feel free, put the question in the comments. Let's have a conversation because I want you to know exactly what it is. Because not only will it help you in explaining it, it'll help the people that you're buying from, your sellers, understand it, especially if they haven't done it or been around it a bit. Okay? So without further ado, let's get through this intro and let's talk about what a subject to is and how it's going to benefit you. Here we go. Being a real estate investor, there's nothing to it.
Sellers are just waiting for my call. Hey.
I'm sick and tired of y'all calling me. Stop calling my phone. I'm just sick of them. Sick.
So basically, there's no competition.
All I have to do is mail these out. Boom. Here comes the money.
Real estate. Easy money.
Hey, get away from my car.
My offers are solid, and they always get accepted.
As real estate investors, we make our own hours.
Now all I have to do is put in these bandit signs.
If you invest in real estate, you know exactly what you just saw. It can be problematic, right? It's the same group of people going after the same group of people saying the same thing to the same group of people. I get it. I've done it all. Some of those strategies can work, but it's all about messaging and numbers. But I'm here to tell you today that there's an absolutely better way to get things done, that you can double what you're doing. If you're a full-time investor already, you should be doing 5 to 10 deals a month. If you're not, let's have a conversation. If you're just getting started, this is the best way for you to go and get started. If you don't have any money to put into marketing and you want to develop a pipeline of deals that's consistently coming through, and you don't have to have the exact same conversation over and over and over again with another new seller. All you have to do is watch this study that I've put together for you. It's a little bit of a training, and let's have a conversation afterward. I've been at this for more than 2 decades, and we've developed strategies and relationships and systems and processes that allow our business to do 15 deals, 12 deals a month per market that we're in. And I want to share this information with you. Click the link below. Let's have a conversation. Peace. All right. Welcome back. And so I want to say welcome to Ken. It's good to see you, Ken. Let's get on the phone sometime this week. I want to see how you're doing. But we're going to talk about what a subject to is. We get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions, a lot of inboxing. What is it? How can I do it? How is that? When we're talking to sellers, is that legal? Is it this? Is it that? Well, we've talked about objections before, and we can get into that maybe later or even another time. But today I want to talk to you about just what a subject to is and how using it can benefit you. As you saw in this last little clip that we did, that'll be an ad that's going out here pretty soon. We talk about developing relationships with agents a great deal. Yes, you can do this by going and calling the owner of the property straight away, people that are going into foreclosure, foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. There's a million different ways or or opportunities, I should say, that will allow you to get into the door. One of the most successful for us are people that are going into foreclosure. Second, actually. First is people that they've had their property on the market for 100 days, 120 days, 150 days. We've got people that are, just really anxious to get their property sold. And this is a great option for a good number of them. Is it going to work for all of them? No, you don't want it to work for all of them. If it's not a good fit for them, it's not a good fit for you, right? If they're not comfortable with it, how can you be? So, when you're using the subject to strategy in real estate investing to acquire property, while leaving the existing mortgage in place can benefit you. And especially in the market that we're in right now, mortgage interest rates are really, really high. And, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago and before, we've got interest rates at 2%, 3%, 4%, even 5%. That's a great thing right now, right? And we want to acquire this with that mortgage in place. We don't want to go out and get expensive money. This strategy allows you to take the ownership and control of a property without having to go, get a new mortgage and fill out all the paperwork and, all the steps that you have to do to get a loan. You don't need credit. You don't really even need money. There are several ways that you can do this with little to no money of your own. Let me be very, very clear. There are a lot of situations, most situations, people are going to need money to catch up the arrears. They need some money to walk away, to go into the next chapter of their life. That money doesn't necessarily have to be yours. It can be a business partner, okay? Whoever. I mean, maybe they're an equity partner with you. Maybe they loaned you the money to get into that house. You don't need credit. No one is ever going to look at your credit. No one's ever going to ask you to look at your bank statements or anything like that. You just have to move in a credible manner. You have to build up trust, the know, like, and trust thing. That's the most important thing, because without that, you're never going to get a deal done. It doesn't matter if you're working with an agent. It doesn't matter if you're working with homeowners. If they don't feel comfortable with you, it's just not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. And the more you know, the better you can answer their questions in the shortest amount of time, the more comfortable they're going to feel with you faster, okay? We also close, and I'm giving you all of the kind of nuts and bolts before I get into the other stuff. We always close with attorneys and title companies. Why do we not use a mobile notary? Because it's, probably 6 times cheaper. I don't do that because I want title insurance, and I want the seller to be comfortable. If they've got questions, yeah, I can answer the questions, but they're going to feel a lot more comfortable talking to an attorney, right? I mean, wouldn't you feel a lot more comfortable talking to an attorney when you're dealing with legal situations? Absolutely. A mobile notary isn't going to be able to help you out a lot. Maybe none, right? But we focus on making everyone comfortable. We use servicing companies to service the loan, so people don't have to give us their vital information in order for us to pay the mortgage on a monthly basis. I won't get into the nuts and bolts of how we can put deals together, because there are so many ways that you can put a deal together. But I wrote some things down, and I wanted to share what I believe, and they're not necessarily in order. There's like 9 or 10 of them. But I wrote them down because I wanted to be really clear when I explain these things to you, okay? Because if you're not looking at all these things, you're going to miss out on something, and something that looks great can turn out to be an absolute nightmare for you, okay? So number 1 is research and identify the property. You want to look for properties where the existing mortgage and the terms are favorable to what you want to do. Like I said, such as low interest rates, manageable monthly payments, understanding what the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, or PITI is, and how you can go and work that for yourself. Because especially now, mortgages are a lot lower than rents. And depending on what your exit strategy is, I don't like to be a landlord. So we like to create homeowners. So we do lease options and wraparound mortgages, things like that. We prefer to do the lease options because we get to take full advantage of depreciation. But again, that's about understanding what your options are. You can find these properties through all kinds of channels, like real estate agents, obviously online listings. There are a lot of for sale by owners out there, foreclosure auctions. Direct marketing is one big way that we do things. So, but if you don't have the money to do cold calling and send out letters and SMS and pay-per-click, that kind of thing, the easiest way to go about finding these kind of deals to see if you've got an opportunity is to contact real estate agents. Look in Zillow or whatever platform you look. There are certain ways that you can set that up. You can look for listing agents. You can look for properties that have been on the market for at least 100, 110 days and call those agents and start to talk to them about these processes. That's how you find the deals. And if you've got, I tell people, if you can give me, 5 to 10 hours a week of you being on the phone and negotiating these things, of course, you want to have someone there that's going to be able to help you because, come on, you don't know this stuff yet, right? Or maybe you know a little bit about it, but you don't know enough about it to actually sell it, to pitch it properly. So what I tell the people in our organization is, listen, once you've got somebody that at least wants to have a conversation, get me on the phone, or let's get one of our experienced people on the phone to help you get through that particular process, right? So that's number one, and that's where it starts. Okay. Number two would be analyze the financials. You want to evaluate the property's financials. What is that? What is the property's financials? That's, I always ask for a payoff statement and the most recent mortgage statement. Now, why would I need a payoff statement, right? Isn't the mortgage, the most current mortgage statement going to tell me what the principal balance is and what the interest rate is and all that? Well, absolutely, it's going to tell you those things. But I've run across these situations. There are times when, let's say someone did a forbearance and they have, somebody is asking a question. So somebody, let me tell them, go to YouTube. I want to make sure people can get there. All right, there we go. So where was I? Oh, so you'll have people that did a forbearance. We just had one where someone had a payoff of, I believe it was $257. That's what they thought it was. Their principal payoff, if you're looking at the mortgage statement. But when I asked for the payoff said another number, said $304,000, which obviously changes the structure of the deal completely and totally. So you have to know that. Why would that difference be there? Well, in this particular case, what the lender did was put that extra amount of money, roughly $38,000 on the back of the loan that's not accruing interest, which is a good thing. It also changed hands. One mortgage lender or servicing company sold it to another one while this forbearance was being negotiated. So they just put it on the back end. I'm telling you this because that could be a $38,000, that would have been a $38,000 hit for me had I signed that deal thinking it was $257. So understand the financials of this deal. Ask for the payoff, ask for a mortgage statement, and get the insurance information because you're going to need to change all that anyway. That's going to be very, 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 very important. Other factors that you're going to have to consider are the purchase price. If you're going to do regular rentals or short-term rentals, understand what that area can bring you in rent because it may or may not be a good deal for you, right? Look at any repairs or renovations that are going to be needed, things that have to be done so that you can get the most value out of that particular property. And market conditions. What's going on today that might change tomorrow that's going to be favorable to you, specifically talking about, potential appreciation. That is what's going to get you all that you want over time. Now you can wholesale these deals as well. We wholesale, we don't keep all of them. We keep a lot of them, but we wholesale some of them. We'll make, every deal is different, when we have an entry sheet form, which I'm more than happy to share with you. If you see any of my marketing, you'll see those entry forms, people in here that are in the group, that are in the Facebook group and wherever, you can ask them about it. I'll even make it available there if you want to download it and utilize it in your business. But it breaks down everything, all the 7 entry fee points that are how much you're going to make. Is there an agent? How much a down payment? Are there arrears? Holding costs, closing costs, all of that. It even has the first year ROI Are you talking about? Yeah, no. Okay, they're already on there. So it gives your potential buyer or yourself all the information that you need to know. How much you need to sell it for. If you need to get a down payment, what's that going to be? You get to look at all those things before you do the deal, right? So analyze that deal. Analyze it really, really well. Number 3, and again, let me just say, at any point, I want to say it again, I'll probably say it again. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments. I'm going to answer them. I'm looking at the comments right here. I don't think I'm going to see them on from every platform it's on. I should, but put your question or comment in there, and I'll get back to you either on this live or shortly thereafter. All right. So the number 3 is, how are you going to negotiate with your seller? When you engage in negotiations with the property owner, you have to explain the benefits of this strategy. Why is it going to help them, right? In most cases, it's taxes. Almost always. That's the benefit. When I enter into these conversations, or negotiations, I'm going to have a whole conversation with them about stuff that has nothing to do with real estate. I'm looking for commonalities. What do you do for a living? Do you travel? Are you a family person? I'm asking all those kind of things just to see what motivates the person. Now, of course, every now and then I'm going to get somebody that says, look, let's just get to it, right? And that's cool. But I want to find commonality, because that opens the door a little bit. If there's an agent involved, it really does make it a lot easier, because the agent has already built that trust with that seller. So when the agent goes back to the seller and says, hey, listen, I've got someone I want you to talk to about a creative financing structure. Here's what it looks like as it was explained to me, but I think it would be good for you to get on the phone with them as well and talk about it. When can we make that happen? The agents always get paid when we're not, and we let them know right away they're going to always get paid. So they are happy to be working with us, and they'll bring us deal after deal after deal. We've got agents in all the markets that we work in now that are bringing us deals. Some, I'm in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta for, doing real estate for better than 20 years. So obviously I built up a really big network. So we almost do, most of the deals, probably 4 out of 5 of the deals that we get in Atlanta that are creative finance are coming from agents we've worked with in the past. So they're a real benefit to getting you where you want to go. But you have to get into how you negotiate with this. And once you've gotten past all that know, like, and trust stuff, you have to, I dive right into handling objections before they even ask the question. Why? Because I don't want to seem like I'm holding something back or I'm withdrawing, right? Negotiations are about each party being comfortable with the other and where we can go. If we get past the fact that, or the question, I should say, of do they want to do the deal? Belinda Carhai is still looking at a deal. The seller has fallen behind. Will I have to bring the difference to the closing? Yes, if they've fallen behind, you're going to have to bring the difference. Now, sometimes you can just call up the bank, and a lot of people do this. We do it when it's just an excessive amount of money, and we look to do some kind of a forbearance or something of that nature, because if we don't have to bring it, then I'd prefer not to bring it. Sometimes they'll give us, depending on how much it is, they'll say, all right, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. We did a deal earlier in the year, I want to say it was February, where the people were about $30,000 behind. I did this myself. So I called up the lender. I know the people have been talking to them, but they didn't have any money. They couldn't get the documentation in to do a modification in time. So we worked that out. I said, listen, we don't have 30,000, but we really want to stop this. Can we give you 10 and work something out with the remaining 20 as a forbearance, put it on the back end of the loan? We ultimately agreed on giving them 15,000, and they put 10,000 on the back end, and they increased the mortgage amount over a 6-month period of time by that other 5,000. So it was roughly another $800 a month, but it was doable. It was a doable deal, right? Still, because they only had like a 2.85% interest rate. I don't mind those kinds of things. But with these deals, Belinda, you can negotiate anything. I mean, it's almost like the Wild Wild West. All the bank has to do is say yes and send you over the information. Tyler, anywhere in Texas, anywhere cash flows. That's right. That's right, Tyler. Welcome, by the way. Welcome, Tyler. Tyler's new to the group. We've been talking quite a bit, so welcome. So, Belinda, I hope that answered your question. But more often than not, to make it really easy and fast, depending on the needs of the seller, yeah, you just want to get that money, bring it to the closing table, bring it current, and call it a day. Because now you don't have to go back and forth with the lender to make sure you got the documentation so you can file things the way you want to in a timely manner. It just makes it easier, cleaner, neater to just pay the arrearages and be done with it. Okay? Again, that provides relief to them, right? So that's a benefit to them. So I don't want to skip over this either. When you catch up their mortgage, remember the loan is still in their name. The deed is in your name or your entity or your trust, right? The mortgage is still in their name. So when you catch that up, a benefit to them is that they have a current mortgage on their credit, right? And of course, you don't know what their credit card situation or automobile payment situation may be or may not be. You don't know that. All you know definitively is that you can help out with this. And a home mortgage, a current home mortgage, carries a lot of weight on a credit report, even with, other debt being a little bit behind. Of course, it's still going to hurt them, but not as much as also having that the arrears, the negative with their mortgage. That is a huge benefit to them. A huge benefit. And wherever they're going, if they're going to a rental property, the management company is going to see that, their mortgage has been made current. So they keep that together, so we can count on them to keep that together, and it bodes a little bit better for them. It goes a long way. Let's see here. What's the best way to find these deals, even if they don't necessarily fit my criteria of something I'd want to hold? I could easily get it off to someone else, but I don't know how to find the deals first. Okay, I just talked about that a little bit, and I'm going to give you the advice, right? So finding the deals, let's just say you don't have any money at all to market, none, not a penny. You just have a cell phone and an internet connection. You can go right on. Zillow is what I use. I mean, if you can use Redfin, it's just as good. It's just a different process, but you're going to get the same information. You set the criteria and in your filters, and then you save it. And anything that pops up for going on that fits the criteria you set in is just going to pop up. Now, when you're just starting out, you can look up all the listings. What I do right now is I'm looking at everything that's 120 days or more, and then I'm calling those agents or those homeowners. You can also look for the foreclosure listings in your area, see what's coming up that month, and get on the phone. But I will caution you there, you have to be creative in your approach when you're dealing with people that are 30 days away from that, right? There are 8 different solutions that we present to them. Of course, we want to, either do something creative or get a cash deal if it's available. But calling those people, talking to those people that are in those foreclosure situations, it's tough to get through all the noise. I mean, it's tough. Who do I call to find foreclosures? Well, whatever county you're in, there's going to be a listing somewhere. You can do paid listing, or you can go down to the Secretary of State, the courthouse, and get a listing. They'll give you, it's public information. So the bank or the lender, no, you're not going to really want to do it there. Go to the clerk of the court. That's right. Do you suggest door knocking? So when I did this full time in my area in Atlanta, what I did was I looked in zip codes that I knew were popular, and I literally picked 100 deals in those, not in each zip code, but collectively. And I just hyper focused on those 100 deals every month. I pulled 100 of them every month, but I would do, anywhere between 15 and 20 of them. Why? Because I was hyper focused. It's a lot easier to do direct mail to just 100 people. You can almost bombard them. It's a lot easier to cold call just 100 people. It's a lot easier to door knock just 100 people. It's a lot easier to SMS text just 100 people. It's cost effective, but you have to remember you're trying to cut through all the other noise. So you have to be creative. Yes, I'm asking, who do I call after I find the foreclosure? Do I call the lender or the homeowner? You're going to call the homeowner because they're the ones that are going to have to say yes. And once they say yes, then you're going to get in contact with, you can call the lender and you're going to want to call the lender, but they're going to put you right in touch with the foreclosing attorney. So you're going to call them, get the information. You're going to work out whatever deal you can. A lot of lenders or servicing companies don't want to do that if they've already brought in an attorney. So it's your job to, once you have all the documents signed, all the necessary documents signed, the authorizations, the contract, the PSA, things like that. Now you can make that happen. You can actually even just put a purchase and sale agreement together if you know you're going to do the deal, and give that to the bank, and the bank will pull it off of the foreclosure listing if they know you're going to close it. Now, what does that mean? That means not only are you going to give them the PSA, the purchase and sale agreement, you're also going to give them proof of funds, not proof of a loan approval. No, actual proof of funds. So you got to connect with someone that has that kind of cash in the bank and then give it to them. And they'll 9 times out of 10, they'll stop it because they can see that you're going to buy this thing cash, even though all you're really going to do is reinstate the loan. Okay. But now you have 30 more days to do that, or 45 days or 60 days. It's whatever they give you. Right. But you've got time to do that when when your back is to the wall, you're in the corner, you've got days. There's no time to do a modification or forbearance. There's just no time whatsoever. This is a way that'll do that for you. Don't door knock. Some states have laws about contacting folks. Yes, that is true. Like in Maryland, that is true. There are some. So check with the laws in your state, because that's obviously going to be a very, 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 very important thing for you to do. Because sometimes this looks to be predatory, even though, it's not. You're just looking to buy real estate in a creative way. And the reality of it is, it doesn't matter what we're doing. We're solving problems. To me, those kind of laws are like, you've got homeless people, right? And you want to go and feed them, but it's against, and this has happened, but they'll cite you for feeding homeless people. It's just ridiculous. You're trying to help the people that need the help, but the laws are situated in such a way that they don't want you in some places to offer that kind of assistance. We can go down the rabbit hole about that conversation. I'm not going to do it here today, but suffice it to say, just have a conversation with an attorney in your area. Just give them a call, just give them a call, whether it's you do want to call an attorney. A title company is not going to help you. They may be able to, but call a real estate attorney no matter where you are and just say, is this legal, right? Or get involved in a group in your area and say, is this legal in my state, period. That's going to give you the information that you need. Okay, number 4, conduct due diligence. This is actually part of the negotiation and all of what we just talked about. Engage in perform a thorough due diligence process, including inspecting the property, reviewing all of the legal financial documents, assuming any debt that's going to come up or any renovations that are going to come up. You keep that in mind when you're doing this, your due diligence process. But again, those financial documents are really, really important. And assessing any potential risk or liability associated with the existing mortgage, meaning, is there a balloon payment that's coming up in a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever? You need to know what that is, because assuming it today means I've got to find a way to pay this mortgage off in a year or 2. That can be a problem, especially if you don't have good credit. But again, this could be a situation where you're just going to wholesale it off. But I can tell you from experience, a lot of the people that are buying sub-2 deals as wholesale deals are really not interested in buying something where there's a balloon payment in a year. They might do it in 2 or 3, but a year, it's just not enough time. It's just not. It's just not enough time. And when would that be? That would be someone that had maybe an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, or they had a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, or even a 15-year loan, amortized over 30, but a balloon is due at the end of that term, right? So that's part of the underwriting. Your due diligence. You got to know these things because it can make or break your deals, point blank. creating your PSA, draft a purchase and sale agreement. Now, I give the whole package away. If that's something that you're interested in, just let me know. That I don't think I put a link to that in the description of this, but if it is something you're interested in, just DM me, message me with your email address, and I'll email you the link, and you can just download the entire package. But you want one that is really, really, really specific, right? Of course, we've done it. We redo our contracts every year, or if we hear that there was some drastic change happening right now in the middle of the year, then of course we're going to contact our attorneys and say, hey, here's this thing, we need to get in front of it, right? But we do that consistently. It's necessary. It is a must. You have to do it, okay? So creating the PSA, draft your purchase sale agreement with the terms of a subject to deal. This agreement should clearly specify that you'll be taking ownership of the property subject to the existing mortgage, okay? You always want that to be clear. It can never not be clear, okay? You want this to be clear. Again, you'll find people that try to fast talk their way into these deals and withhold information from the seller that they need to know just because they're in a hurry to get a deal, or they don't think the person will say yes if they give them all of the facts. Listen, if they don't say yes after they have all the facts, you're better off. You're better off, because the reality of it is, even if you're never going to talk to them again, because again, you'd have servicing companies in place, if there's something that they haven't been told, that they didn't sign off on, and again, inside of our subject to package, they're acknowledging everything, anything that you can think of. All right. They're initialing, signing, checking, doing everything that's necessary, because I want them to be very clear on what they're entering into. Now, me, I don't have any intention on holding people's property for, well, single family anyway, for 10, 15 years. That's just not me. I'm going to hold it long enough until the economic cycles are at a place where I can sell that property, or hopefully the person that I lease optioned it to or wrapped it to is ready to do their refinance, right? But you got to explain everything to people, and it should be not just in your PSA. Your purchase and sale agreement should be relatively simple. You don't want it to be overwhelming. That's just my opinion. I know people that use 6-8 page purchase and sale agreement. It's simply just not necessary. It's just confusing. Okay. I use a simple one. We have a 2-page, technically it's 3-page. There's some explanations on the first page, and then the PSA itself is only 2 pages, 1.5 pages actually. And then there are all of the authorizations and acknowledgments that come with it, right? Again, if that's something you're interested in, just message me. I'll send you the link. It's a free download. It's yours. I'm here to help, period. It says, call me Jay. It just says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are. I'll figure it out when I go back into Facebook though, but I'll give you a call. But again, these things are just absolutely necessary. You do not want to overlook these things, because now it makes you look predatory, right? If you know that you told them, this happens as well. You could have had a very clear conversation with them where they verbally said, yeah, I understand. But 2 years down the line, they're like, hey, nobody ever said this to me. Nobody ever said this to me. Oh, this guy's a predator. I'm suing. You're in a bad situation, right? They're going to act like they don't know anything, and you are presumed to know everything. So if you have it in writing, they can't say that they didn't know. They can't, because they have the same package that you have, and they signed it in front of an attorney. So you have the attorney's documentation or insurance information there, errors and omission insurance and all that. So if something did go wrong, they're going to go to the attorney first and foremost. But the attorney is looking at all our documents. They know what we're doing. That, again, is why I don't use mobile notaries. But that's my preference. Okay? I'm okay with spending, $2,000, $2,500 more for that protection, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. Okay? That's just in my in my experience. All right. So again, I'll tell you to consult with your attorneys. I always say that. Make sure your agreement is legally sound and protects your interest and also gives protections to the seller. Again, that's all the disclosures that you're going to want. Okay. So number 6, a trust or an entity. Now, Tyler, I hope you're still listening. This is a real important thing to me, and we talked about this a little bit, and I know that you guys are working that out, and that's cool. But to mitigate any risk, to protect yourself, consider setting up a trust or an LLC or something like that. This is how we hold all these things. That's how we hold title to all these things. We want those protections. We need those protections. You know, it's very difficult to pierce the corporate veil when you're acting ethically and everyone has signed acknowledgement documentation. If they come back later and say, hey, you know, when you have a corporation or a trust or an LLC, you know, some kind of an entity, there's a corporate veil there. And as long as you're doing the right things, operating legally and ethically, they're not piercing that corporate veil. It's just not, they're not getting through. There's nothing to say that you personally did something wrong. There's not. Now, I know that all of you are saying, hey, well, you know, people sue people all day, every day. That is correct. It is. They do. And all you have to do is show up, and you have to go through the process and say, hey, I told them, here's all my documents. Most of that stuff happens in discovery, and the judge will say if this has any merit or not, throw it out or not throw it out. When you're in a state that is favorable to landlords, 9 times out of 10, that's out the window. Okay, because you're acting legally and ethically. Don't try to rush into deals. Don't take on things that are too difficult, because if it's a problem in the beginning, it's going to be a problem in the end, period. Because you're going into a partnership basically with these folks. Not really, but basically. These people can pick up the phone and call you anytime they need to, and vice versa. Again, that's why we set up all of those things in the middle to pull ourselves out of it, putting in servicing companies that take the money out of our account and pay them and pay their lender, you know, pay them if they've got some money coming to them, depending on the structure of the deal. Those things are important, extremely important. You know, don't make promises you can't keep or won't keep. Absolutely. There's no need. There's so much opportunity out here. It just is what it is. You know, everybody isn't going to like your deal. Everybody isn't going to like you. Right? They might want to do the deal, but they just don't like you. That's cool. That's cool. On to the next. On to the next. You might follow up with them 2 weeks later and they still have the deal, and you're like, hey, I'm still here. The guy you don't like. Tell me a little bit about it. What do I need to do to make you feel more comfortable with me in doing this deal? You know, did I not give you the objections? Are you uncomfortable with any aspect of this process? Because that's the process, whether you're dealing with me or anyone else. I just want to make sure you're getting all the information from me that I can give you. That's my spiel. That's how I give it to them, right? Okay, so establish an entity for yourself. Number 7, assume management and payments. Now, again, this is going back into what I was talking about in dealing with servicing companies. Wherever you are, those servicing companies are going to be a lifesaver. They're licensed, they're bonded. Let's say the seller a year from now, 2 years from now, wants to go and get a loan for a new home. And the mortgage broker says, oh, you've got an open home loan on your credit already. You've got to sell that before we can even go through this process. Well, that's simply not true. It doesn't matter what kind of loan it is. Well, with the exception of reverse mortgages, stay away from those. But with the exception of those, listen, once you have a servicing company in place, if they're going to go out and buy a new property, right, they can simply just call up the servicing company, because we supply them with that information. They obviously have an account, and the servicing company will give them a printoff, an email that says and they're licensed and bonded in that state, that says these payments have been paid. Boom, 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 boom. And they're going to take off 75% of that payment gone. Take completely off their DTI, debt to income ratio. It's gone. So now it makes it easier. So now basically that's a rental property. It's income that they're going to count it. So the debt to income ratio goes drastically down, which makes it a lot easier for them to get, well, they're going to get approved as long as their credit and earnings are in place. They're going to get approved for the loan. Maybe it'll affect how much of a loan they get, but by 75% of that coming off, hey, they're good to go. No problem at all, right? So you want to have that in place. Now, a lot of you may want to do self-management. Now, if you're buying all around the country like myself, if I was doing actual rentals, then yes, I would have property management in place. But I'm not doing short-term. Well, I do some short-term rentals. We do that, and we have management for that. But that's getting harder and harder to do. That's another conversation for another time for sure. But, you know, if I'm selling you a house, whether it's a lease option or a wrap, you're the homeowner. The way we structure our leases, if we're doing a lease option, it's basically a commercial lease, like a triple net lease. If they break it, they bought it. You know, if the air condenser stops working, they have to pay for it. Period. Whatever breaks, it's on them. It's their house. That's just what it is. That's how we work that. We structure those as commercial leases on a lease option. Okay, let's see. We've got someone that says, what if they want to buy another home soon as they sell to you? Will a second lease count for? Will a season lease count for the debt? So if they sold it to us and they, let's say, because this happens as well, so that's a good question. It's a very good question. So let's say they did a subject to deal with us today, and they are doing this with the intention to go buy another house. There's a few different ways that this can happen depending on their equity position. If they are not seasoned, if they're not seasoned, it really wouldn't matter, right? So they'd already have it leased out, and they can say, here's the servicing company that's leasing it. This is what we're doing. They're going to have all that documentation. It's there for them, and it will still happen. If they've got good enough credit, because we deal with people that are downsizing all the time. We deal with people that are ill and need to move into another climate. They're, you know, perfectly, credit-wise anyway, perfectly able to go get another loan, and that's what they want to do. But they were told that this is what they have to do. So we give them the information. We've even put them in contact with the servicing company that will tell them what they need to do, as well as the attorney that is going to do the closing for us in that particular state. So I'm telling them it's not going to affect them, but let me put you in contact with the servicing company that will service this loan, as well as the attorney that's going to close this loan. Because my word, you don't know me. I don't have as much on the line as the attorney or the title company would. Wouldn't you agree? Exactly. You know, so, you know, we want them to have that level of comfort, the seller. We want them to have it. So we get them on the phone and we talk to the attorney. We talk to the servicing company. They tell them the process. And even if we have to talk to the underwriter is going to say, well, that's all the documentation I needed. Thank you. Somebody should have told me. Sometimes the mortgage broker doesn't even know that. It's not because they're inept. It's not because they're stupid and they don't know their job. They don't know all of the facets of their job, because that's not normal. Most of them are used to normalcy. And so when there's something outside the norm, if it doesn't fit, they just don't want to do it. They need you or expect you at that point to do everything you need to do to give them conformity that they've already subscribed to, and you don't have to do that. So you tell them, look, let's get on the phone with the attorney or the servicing company to get your questions answered. And if that doesn't work, put us in direct contact with the underwriter, please. And they'll do it. All right, we have another question. If they have not started the lease yet, will the lease count even though no lease payments made yet? Yes, it will. It will, because they'll see that they've got X number of dollars down. You know, it's transferred over to, you know, another person. They will absolutely be able to give them documentation that says that they've made, I mean, they'll have a settlement statement. They can simply give them the settlement statement. That's really all they need to do, the settlement statement and how much they're receiving on a monthly basis. Because sometimes some of these folks have a lot of equity, and we'll structure things different. You know, we did a deal, and we're doing another one now. We'll probably do 1 or 2 of these a month, where a person has, let's say they have 50% equity in their home, real equity, and they need, let's say the house is worth $300,000, they need $100,000 to go on to the next phase of their life, right? And they're willing to take the other $200,000 less the $150,000 mortgage, basically $50,000 as a second mortgage. So we'll go get a loan for 50, 60 cents on the dollar, pay off the existing, right? Whatever we've got to get, we're going to pay off the existing, give them what they need. They're going to take a second, and we're off to the races. That's just another way to do a deal. Again, like I said earlier, there are, I don't know, 30, 40 different ways to structure it, probably more than that. But there's a lot of ways that you can structure a deal. So when you're dealing with people that have high equity and that need X number of dollars to move on to the next phase, you can still work with them. So yes, to answer your question in short, yes, you can do that because they have all of that documentation, and you can just move on to the next, and they can move on to the next chapter in their life because you've given them the amount of money that they need to do that. There's just so many different things that you can do, right? Number 8, implement your exit strategy. Now, I'm telling you this is why this is so important to me. When I'm negotiating a deal, I'm negotiating the deal based on my exit strategy. Does that make sense? I'm negotiating the deal based on how I want to get out of it. So if I'm going to wholesale the deal, I'm going to negotiate it probably a little bit differently than I'm going to negotiate it if I'm keeping the deal. Not that, because the numbers aren't really going to change in terms of the payoff, that is. That's not going to change. That's always going to be there. Thank you. Great information as usual. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it's I lost my train of thought there. But it's really knowing how you want to make your money, right? If I'm going to go into this deal and I know that I'm going to wholesale it, I'm going to make sure that, you know, we can make at least 10,000. Do we always make 10,000? No. Sometimes we make 5. Sometimes it's 3. Sometimes it's 15. You know, it really just depends. When you get into larger properties, multifamily, commercial, things like that, now you're talking about, you know, $25,000, $30,000, $50,000, even more. I mean, we've seen assignment fees 6 figures, depending on the property, especially in multifamily. So, you know, there's so many different ways for you to get it. But when you're negotiating and you're looking at the deal, you're building the deal based on whatever your exit strategy is. If you're wholesaling it, if you're keeping it for yourself and your partners, you have to structure it that way from the beginning. It's a lot easier to know what you're going to do and develop your exit strategy from the beginning than it is to go back after the deal has already been structured and have to restructure it because you made a mistake, because you decided maybe to switch up your strategy, which that happens sometimes. Those are conversations that are really easy to have when the owner or the seller is not being forthcoming. They're not being honest with you. They're holding back. And that happens a lot, which again is why you not just get the most recent mortgage statement, you also get a current payoff and the insurance documentation, because you're going to get rid of that insurance, put new insurance on. If they're being escrowed, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some money in the escrow that's going to get sent to you. Maybe they're negative escrow because they're behind. Obviously, that doesn't really matter. Once you pay it up, there's going to be something that's going to be allotted for the insurance that will actually come back to you as the new owner, provided you're doing your insurance properly. And I want to talk about that, number 9. Well, let me just get through here. Okay, I think I got through this. Whatever your exit strategy is, build your deal based on that exit strategy. And then number 9, know how to do the insurance, especially if you're doing foreclosures and pre-foreclosures, right? Foreclosures in particular. Why? Because let's say you take over this property, what was your name? Where's the comment? Belinda. Belinda, this would be really good for you. Still looking for a deal. Seller has fallen behind. Will I have to bring the difference to closing? Yes. So if that person is in foreclosure, if they're in foreclosure, you're going to catch it up. You're going to sign all the documents with the attorney, but then you're not going to file those documents until you have a written reinstatement letter. Once they get the money, it normally comes out within just a few days. Then the attorney will go and file those documents. Okay? Why? Because if you file those documents right away, and whoever is the pencil pusher that's going to do the reinstatement, make sure that, okay, this money came in, this much goes to insurance, this much goes to taxes, this much goes to us as the lender or the servicing company. Okay, everything's been satisfied. Reinstatement letter, reinstatement letter, reinstatement letter, then it goes out. Once that reinstatement letter is out and you have it, then you file your documents. If you don't do that and you file your documents right away, and that person that's doing the reinstatement goes and they're doing their thing, they're pencil pushing and they're checking to make sure everything is right, everything is current, and they see that title has changed, 9 times out of 10, you have now triggered the due on sale clause. Problem. Now you have to unwind the deal and redo the deal as a lease option as opposed to a sub 2. Not good. Not good at all. And you have to do it in a timely manner. And guess what? It costs you money because you paid for the attorney. You know, you did that. Now you have to unwind it and go do it again. So don't file them right away if they're in foreclosures. If they can be behind, right? Because they're just behind. If it's not in foreclosure, if there's no lawyer that has said, here's the foreclosure date. If there's no lawyer that has done that, there's no reinstatement letter to be done, right? There's no reinstatement. The loan is still in good standing. Technically, you just have to catch it up. It's only when it goes to the attorney and it's now in foreclosure, you have been noticed, and they're moving forward with this foreclosure on the first Tuesday of the next month. Now you have to make sure that you do that. So that's important. And if you don't understand how to do insurance, like, okay, I'm just going to give you this real quick. When you're doing the insurance, the mortgage company is on there. The seller is on there as a loss payee. You are on there, or your entity is on there as a loss payee. If you have a management company that may be yours, it depends on your structure, you might have a trust, they're on there as a loss payee. Does everybody get a piece of that money? Only to what is on the agreement. So if there's no money that goes to the seller, they're on there as the loss payee because they have to be by law, right? They just have to be there. If they're not there, okay, my anxiety is lessening. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Belinda. I'm glad I was able to help you with that. So if you don't do the insurance right, it'll blow your deal and you'll lose money. It's just simple as that. You have to do the insurance right. The insurance can make or break a deal, and a lot of people don't know that, and it throws a big monkey wrench in it. And I think from my experience, not a lot of people talk about exactly how to transfer insurance properly. So you're going to put all those people on there. The seller has to be on there. The lender has to be on there, because if the seller's not on there, it's a problem. So the seller's going to be on there. The lender's going to be on there. You or your entity is going to be on there. A management company or a trust, if you have it, is going to be on there. This is how you protect you. Okay? This is how you protect you, and you have to do it the right way. If you do not do it the right way, it will bite you in the backside and you'll lose money. God forbid that happens. God forbid that happens, which is why I'm telling you this, right? Okay, so number 10, and I think this is easy. I think I've said it 50 times throughout this whole process. Comply with the legal and ethical considerations in your state. Familiarize yourself with the legal and ethical guidelines for sub-2 transactions in your jurisdiction. You got to do it. Ensure that you comply with all applicable laws and regulations to avoid any legal issues. There are a lot. And I'll say that here's another thing. There's this thing called inference of ownership, which some of you may or may not have heard of. Now, this is when people are either acting really predatory or they simply just don't know what they're doing, right? Let's say you got a house say the house was worth 250 and you got it for 200,000, sub two. Now you're going to sell it to somebody for 350,000, but the actual value today is 250. Let's say you did a 3-year deal with them, or even a 5-year deal. Is that property really going to go up under normal circumstances? Not what we've seen in the last 5 years, but under normal circumstances, with appreciation, depending on where you are, being anywhere between 3 and 6% on average. Of course, some areas do better. Of course, some areas do worse. But if you add $100,000 onto the value and sell it to someone like that, if they're smart enough or they feel like they've been taken advantage of and decide to go and speak with someone, they're going to sue you for whatever they put down, maybe some other damages, this, that, and the other. And it's called inference of ownership, because you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know value. You're supposed to know processes. You're supposed to know everything, because you're the real estate professional. They're just homeowners or people that want to be homeowners, and you took advantage of them. At least that's how it's going to play out in court. And you don't want to be in that situation. So if they've given you a $25,000 down payment 2 years ago, you're going to have to come up with that $25,000 to give it back when you lose that case. And they might have some damages and all these other things. So you have to be in. I'm telling you this because I went through it once, years ago, only once and years ago. And it was because I didn't know, right? The person that I was learning from was quite aggressive in their pricing. And so this would have been probably, I don't know, 2004 maybe. It was when I was very first learning. I was just learning. I was only 2.5, 3 years into real estate, but I was just learning the creative finance strategy in depth. And yeah, we got sued. And I was able to, because they do mediation, and I was able to go in and have a conversation with the owners and say, hey, listen, I really didn't know. I didn't know that this was even a thing. I just didn't know. And I know that ignorance is no excuse for the law. So we sat there and we negotiated. We still had to give them the down payment back. And then we redid the paperwork, brought the property, or the value, or the price, I should say, of the property down, which brought the mortgage down. And, we worked out a deal. So the judge didn't actually have to make a determination, and actually thanked us for not wasting the court's time any further and being willing to negotiate this thing. Because either way that was going to go, we were going to have to give them the down payment back either way. In this case, they were able to go on into the next chapter of their life. They refinanced the house, and it was the end of it, right? We're done. They weren't trying to take advantage of us. They felt like we were trying to take advantage of them, and I was ignorant. I was ignorant to the law, and that cost me $25,000 plus legal fees. And I don't want to be in that situation ever again, which is why I'm sharing it with you, because at some point you're going to deal with someone who feels slighted, or they're smarter than you. They're smarter than you in that situation. You have people that know the laws in their states, and they take full advantage of that. Mostly it happens in the rental space, but it happens. And I'm telling you these things because if you're not in a landlord-friendly place and you don't know all the rules and regulations, it will bite you in the backside like nobody's business. I mean, it isn't something that you want to be in, right? And let me say this, all of this sounds like really smart stuff, and you're going to get smart by being around me, being around people like me, whatever organization you're in. But my goal here isn't to make you smart, right? That's not my goal. My goal is to teach you how to execute, and execute effectively, because you don't make no money being smart. You make money from execution, from doing things the smart people don't do. Smart people go to teach at Harvard and do all that other stuff, right? I might sound smart, but I've been doing this for over 2 decades. So it stands to reason that this stuff would stick in my mind. This is my business. And I make it my business to understand my business. When you start talking to me about fixing cars, I'm out. I'm gone. How much does it cost for you to fix this? I don't even tell me what's wrong. I'm not going to understand. Can you just fix the car, please? And as fast as possible so I can go on about my business. I need to be riding, right? I know what I know. And I know it because I study it and I do it day in and day out. But I can't make any money unless I execute. Being smart, being able to rip this stuff off means nothing if you can't execute. You don't need to know everything. You need to be in a team, in a group. When you have a question, you can get it answered. When a deal comes around and you just don't know how to fully negotiate it, or what all your options are, so you can exhaust it. I mean, we do deals for wholesalers all the time. We're open for wholesalers 100% of the time. We tell them, you got deals that you can't close, call us. Call us. You'll get paid. It might not be what you think you're going to get paid, but you'll get paid. You'll get paid because you put a bad deal together. And now we have a deal where presumably less money is going to have to come to the table. The numbers are real. The seller is in, and we can go from there. I can get you a wholesale fee and we can go on to the next. But I'm going to have to go in and renegotiate that deal. Would you not agree that my skill set is worth something? Would you not agree that the skills that I'm about to share with you are worth something to you and your business moving forward? Okay, so it stands to reason that you're not going to make 10,000 on this deal. You'll make 10 because you didn't bring, or 5, because you didn't bring me a deal that was ready to go. I have to come in and rework the deal. I'm going to get paid for that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Is there anyone else watching this that think there's something wrong with someone getting paid for something that they have gone to school for 2 decades plus? And that's what I consider my work. I'm in school all the time. I'm in school all the time. I'm learning all the time. We could talk about land. We could talk about multifamily. We could talk about commercial. We can talk about whatever you want. But if I can't execute on that, it doesn't matter. It falls on deaf ears. And now we're approaching a time where interest rates are going to go up again. So I'm constantly talking to people. I do regular cash deals and fix and flips. We do all those things as well. Those things are operating right now at a snail's pace. Sub 2 is, this is the economy for that. Interest rates right now, for people that have moderate credit, they're going to be in the 7s, 7% interest. These loans that we're taking over, that we're assuming, if you will, are loans that are at, the loans that we've done are anywhere from 2.8% to, I think the highest one we did was 4.5. We're closing one now that's at 4% this week. I mean, we're not going to see those, and rates are going back up. And this isn't me guessing. Chairman Jerome Powell has already stated, they've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks on the financial news, that he believes rates have to go up at least 2 more times this year. Now, are they going to go up at a 0.5 point or 3/4 of a point as they have in the past? No, it'll probably go up at 1/4 point. It'll probably go up at 1/4 point. But that's another 0.5 point for the rest of the year. Okay. And so we don't know. We just know that that's going to make interest rates higher. And if we're sitting here trying to figure out how we can take advantage of real estate today, this is how you do it. You can wholesale it, you can get your money, right? You can hold some of them, keep them for yourself, and create wealth for yourself. You know, that mailbox money is going to be important for you, because I can promise you this, I don't care how old you are, at some point, you're going to get tired of hustling every day. I got to do a deal to get money. I got to do a deal to get money. No, yes, now. And maybe you keep 1 out of every 5 deals that you do, because you're going to get good at raising money, and you're going to use other people's money to take these deals down, whether they're an equity partner with you or a lender to you, right? You're going to be able to create passive income for yourself and massive amounts of money when it's time for you to sell it, based on whatever your exit strategy is. So you got to know that. You got to know that. And I know that a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid to take action. They're afraid to move forward. I hear it all the time. People that are talking, I'm afraid to talk to this person, or I'm at this situation, but you know, I don't know the numbers. I'm afraid to have a conversation. How do I ask them for this? How do I ask them for that? Man, you got to get out of that. You got to be done with that fear. That fear has to be put in the back. Let go of whatever it is and let it be what you want it to be. Let go of whatever was so that you can walk into what is. I'm not trying to preach. I'm just telling you what it is. Yesterday is written. That's history. Tomorrow is unknown. You get to write that. You get to write it. So do that. And don't be afraid. That's not the same as not paying attention, right? Don't be afraid. Move forward, knowing that you know, and knowing that you don't know what you know, but you need to be able to call somebody and reach out to people. And you can do that in our group, the Real Estate Accelerators group in Facebook. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. You can ask questions. You can reach out. You can DM me. I am open. If you want to be a part of our organization, you can do that at any time, but I'm not going to pitch you on any of that stuff. I'm just not. But I want to thank you all for your time. I hope you got a lot out of this. I really do look forward to working with each and every one of you and helping you, no matter where you are in this country, with your real estate transactions. I'm here for you. I'm here with you. Let's make things happen. Hey guys, it's your man Jason Miles here again. I just wanted to come to you today because I've got something great that I want to basically just kind of give you. It's my second book. It's called When There's Blood in the Streets, A Real Estate Investor's Guide to Winning. Now, this book here is all about how I found success in real estate, all the things that I did to become successful, all the things that I've taught other people over the past 17 years now about being successful in real estate. Listen, there's no lying, there's no kind of softening it up. Real estate is at a time right now where there's going to be some changes in the market, and it's not going to be enough to simply just fix and flip a house. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. So you have to implement, other strategies if you want to find success. There are passive income strategies that we do right now, lease purchase, sandwich lease options, things like that, where we're not just renting, we're creating homeowners, okay? There are fix and flip, there is wholesaling, there is a lot of other things that you can take advantage of that are in this book and kind of pinpoint exactly what it is you want to do for yourself. And again, it's free. All you have to do is fill out the information below, pay for the shipping and handling, and it's yours. It will be mailed right out to you. Now, you don't have to take it from me. All you have to do is read some of the comments and some of the videos, the shares, just things that other people are saying that I've been able to help them with as they've been building their real estate careers. And then, of course, turning around and helping other people. That's the most important thing. It's not enough for you to just have. It's got to be a situation where it's being reciprocated, where you're giving it back, right? That's what this is all about. Now, again, this is the second book that I've written, but it's just for what's going on in today's market. When there's blood in the streets, you've heard the saying. It's time for you to kind of start taking action. And you may not have a lot of money. You may not have any money. None of that matters. We're going to go over the strategies in this book. So fill out the information below. You get the book for free. Just pay for the shipping and handling, and we'll go from there. And I look forward to working with you soon. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. What's going on, friends and family? How y'all feeling today? I hope you're feeling great, doing well. I've had a lot of conversations over the past, I'd probably say about the past couple months, 2-3 months, about people wanting to get involved in real estate and asking how they can get involved in real estate given all that's going on with the economy. Well, you either have a lot of time, which means you don't have the money, or you have a lot of money, which means you don't have the time. And they want to know how they can get involved in real estate. Some of them have said, look, man, what do I need to do to just get into a deal, right? I don't really have the time to do all of that. So we've just invested their money in some of the deals that we do. So I'm here to open the invitation to all my friends and family that are watching this right now. If you're interested in getting involved in real estate and you simply don't have a ton of money or you don't have a ton of time, maybe you only have, $5,000, maybe you have $100,000, I don't know. But if you're interested in investing in real estate deals passively, truly passively, just reach out to me. There's no link, this isn't an ad, just DM me and let's have a conversation. We've got deals right now that we can fund. Right now, as of right now, multifamily as well as single family, deals that you can be in as little as 6 months and as much as 2 or 3 years, depends on the scenario and what your particular investment strategy is. All I can say is let's have a conversation. So if you're interested, friends and family, just reach out, let's have a conversation. I'll see you later.